Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance alongside Tommy Chrysan. TK joining us over at Court Street Cafe in downtown Port Allen. I am in an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Go to lasportshall.com, lasportshall.com. By the way, Celebrity Golf Classic next Tuesday at Oak Wing Country Club in Alexandria. Spots available, individual or team. Go to lasportshall.com. It's the Celebrity Golf Classic next Tuesday at Oak Wing Country Club in Alexandria. It's going to be an awesome event. And the night before, at Monday night, is going to be a party from 6:30 to 9:30 over at the country club. Going to have hole-in-one night golf closest to the hole competition on number 10 right behind the clubhouse. DJ, live entertainment, food, you name it. Great event. Check it out, lasportshall.com. You can even buy tickets just for the party if you want to go. And then, of course, LeBears is our presenting sponsor. We appreciate LeBears, and we'll be over at LeBears this Saturday for Sports Shorts Radio from 10 until noon. Tommy Chrysan and myself, I was not on Monday because of the Baton Rouge Rougarou Golf Classic, the second annual presented by Bayou Apparel. And we appreciate Dirk Lockhart and Greystone Country Club for hosting us for the second straight year. We had 34 teams, lots of celebs. It was an awesome time. We had great food on the course. Shout out Tremonti's Meat and Seafood for all they did at the tournament as well. And Phil's Oyster Bar won the title for best food. They had Italian meatball sliders, hot in the marinara gravy on hole number 7 or 8, and that one got all the votes, a lot of votes. But we appreciate everybody. Lots of great food out there, and we're excited. Tremonti's is going to be our sausage and hamburgers. We'll be selling Tremonti's meat, seafood, sausage and hamburgers at all the Rougarou games this year. So stepping it up big time. You're going to love all the great food we're going to have at the concession stand at all the games this summer. But a great event, Tommy. The weather was awesome, and we appreciate everybody coming out to support. It's sort of the kickoff to the season.
Well, and I want to thank Eddie Kennison, who's a member of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. You were so busy. He sat in with me from the clubhouse at Greystone. And yes, we told the Mississippi State punt return story. I can't interview Eddie and not go over that. And then Dan McNamara of Bayou Apparel, who's such a big supporter of the Rougarou and everything you and I do. He filled in a little bit too and got a lot of positive comments. And I thank Eddie and Dan for jumping in with me on Monday morning. And then, of course, we all dove into the tournament, and it was so great to see so many people that we all know out there, made some new friends, and the celebrities, Coach Brian Kelly, Coach Matt McMahon, and of course Casey McKenzie was there. Is he a celebrity or not?
I think at this point he might be. He's definitely a C-lister in Baton Rouge.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Well, I'm on the D list, so but we'll get there one day. But no, it was a great event, and it was fun to see everybody, and people are looking forward to next year's event already. So, great job by you and your staff. You have a lot of people that help you pull that off that you couldn't do it without. So it was really cool.
So now the countdown begins. Today is the 8th of May. That means we are 22 days away, just a touch over 3 weeks away from the start of the Baton Rouge Rougarou season. It's also on May 30th is our opening day. May 31st is the NCAA regionals for baseball. The question is, will LSU be in the NCAA regionals? We know they're not going to be hosting, but will they make it into the regionals? And that is going to be determined over the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think over the next 2 weekends. LSU's got 6 SEC games left. In my opinion, they have to win 4 to get to 13 wins and go 13-17. That would punch their ticket. Even though statistically we know that it's less than 50% chance to make it to the NCAAs if you only have 13 SEC regular season wins. But a lot of that data is compiled over many, many years. And recently, now with the way that league is, the way that the LSU schedule is, they're defending national champs, et cetera, the 13, I think, is going to get LSU in because their RPI, if they win 4 of their next 6, is going to be in the 20s, probably the mid to low 20s. And so therefore, I think that that's going to be enough for them to get in. And they would obviously, if they get to 13 wins, probably finish 9th in the league, something like that. 8th or 9th. And so Interesting next couple of weeks, TK. But right now, if the season would end, according to D1Baseball.com, the Tigers would not be in the NCAA tournament, and they almost really hurt their chances last night. It would have crushed their RPI a little bit had they lost to Northwestern State, who had a 180 or 190 RPI. It would not have helped them, but they pulled it off and won the game in the eighth.
Well, bottom of the eighth, big fly by Jared Jones to give him the 6-5 lead. Guidry was good on the mound the last 4 innings. I believe that's his longest outing of the year. And he ended up getting the win, obviously, as well. But it was the big fly by Jones that was the difference. Northwestern State battled, and, they've been hot and cold during the season, so they certainly have the ability to be good. But LSU got it done. That's the final midweek game. Like you said, 6 games left, 3 at Bama. By the way, 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 1 o'clock. This weekend, they all stream only. And then Ole Miss comes into the box the following week. That'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because the SEC tournament will start like that Tuesday, Wednesday after. I'm like you, though. LSU's got to win 4 to 6 in front of them. 3 with Bama, 3 with Ole Miss. And then I think they got to make a little noise in the NCAA, in the SEC tournament. If they go 1 and done in that first round or 2 and out, and they don't have 4 wins here, they might not be tournament bound. And Ronnie, we always talk about this. A lot of that also factors in who else does what around the country. I mean, if a couple of these teams that are on the bubble get hot, win their conference tournament, or finish runner-up in their tournament, that could hurt LSU, which is why you always want to just control your own destiny and not depend on others. But teams all over the country, there's going to be a team or two that comes out of nowhere and wins their conference. We just don't know which conference tournament that might be. So, we'll see. And there's talk that there's 4 teams from Louisiana in. The Raging Cajuns are going to be in the tournament. Louisiana Tech's got a shot, of course, LSU. And then, if somebody else wakes up and wins their conference tournament, McNeese, maybe something like that. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. And it's May baseball, as we like to say. It's all about what you're doing right now matters. And for LSU, it's in Tuscaloosa this weekend.
2 notes about this coming weekend. Of course, Holman was the ace last year for Alabama baseball was their ace. Their coach, of course, Buchanan, got fired. Remember the situation where he tipped the gambler who made a big bet against LSU when Holman had the strained back and wasn't going to start against Skeens, and his buddy, the guy knew, loaded a booster of his that had been, who donated to that program, who had a relationship with. And that guy was trying to place as much as $200,000 over multiple bets on that game. But anyway, he got fired. And then the pitching coach, who Holman had a great relationship with, didn't get the job. So therefore he went into the portal, and the rest is history. He and his family have gotten a lot of backlash since, a lot of hate mail, a lot of, that kind of stuff. His dad pitched at Jacksonville State. Holman's dad pitched at Jacksonville State in Alabama, and played AAA, got all the way up to AAA, and was telling me about it over the weekend. How it was pretty nasty and ugly at Alabama with the fans once he transferred. And so Holman actually told his pop, hey, I don't know if you shouldn't go to Tuscaloosa, Dad. I don't want you getting in any fights in the stands. And his dad said, no, I'm not. I'm going to find a quiet place, whatever. But, he's going to be very emotional. There's going to be a lot of emotions for him. How can he, hopefully he can control that. He's not a very high-low guy. He's a very steady kind of guy with his emotions, but he'll be tested this weekend. And you mentioned, teams in Louisiana, not named Raging Cajuns, LSU, and maybe Louisiana Tech that might have to win their conference tournament to get in. One of those teams is your alma mater, the Southeastern Lions. The Southeastern Lions are hosting the Southland Conference tournament in Hammond, and they are not a lock to be in it. They are battling for their postseason life to get into the tournament that is being played at their own ballpark. I can't imagine how horrible that would be if Southeastern is hosting a tournament that they're not playing in. That would be super disappointing.
Brian, there a couple of years, I was the voice of the Lions. That happened. Okay, they didn't get in, and then they had to host it. And I would tell you, I do remember, I announced all the games because it was, the tournament, and there was a guy who went, you ready for this? There was a guy that went 15 for 18 at the plate in that tournament in Hammond. Remember Hunter Pence?
Yeah.
big leaguer for a long time with the Giants and then another team or two. We played at Texas Arlington. And, I mean, I remember, I think it's like first 9 at-bats he got a hit. We're like, are they ever going to get this guy out? Somebody walk him, quit throwing the ball near the plate. He can hit. But that's what I remember about that year. But it was tough because there were no crowds. The Lions weren't playing, so there was no crowds. It was tough. So, Bobby Barbier, his first year at Southeastern, he came from Northwestern State, who the Tigers played last night. And, they like Northwestern State, been a little hot and cold during the course of the year. I think Lamar, Will Davis' team's the best team in that conference.
Yeah, they're in first place right now. To give you a little idea of what the Lions are facing, back in 2000, Tony Robichaux was the head coach of the Raging Cajuns. They went to the College World Series, the only time that program went to Omaha. And the very next year in 2001, they hosted the Sun Belt Conference tournament, and they did not qualify for the postseason tournament. You go from the White House to the outhouse. I mean, from Omaha to hosting a tournament that you're not even in the top 8. That was pretty upsetting for him. And I remember I was the GM of the Lafayette Roughnecks Arena team back then, and I walked across the street like on a Wednesday afternoon when the tournament started or something, and sat with Tony for about an inning or stands watching, teams not engaged play. And there was probably 30 people in the stands, all the players, and Tony was beside himself, and he had his players working in the concessions and working as ushers, taking tickets and all. He had the players work in the tournament to sort of send a message and make them feel the pain and disappointment of not being there.
Tony Robichaux, we both knew very well, and I actually played against him in college. We never pitched the same day when he was at McNeese House at Southeastern. There's a great article that came out yesterday from Will Weathers. 2 of Tony's former players who were teammates, Justin Morgan and Philip Hawk, are both in Sulphur with the LHSAA sports, state baseball tournament, which you can catch on the LHSAA network. Find them, find their app, find them. So it was a cool story, and I know Philip, I know Justin. It was a great story by Will Weathers and how much Tony Robichaux meant to them 2 guys, not just in the world of baseball, but as people.
Yeah, just like Skip Bertman and all legendary coaches, Tony touched a lot of lives and helped raise a lot of men. And, he's super strong in his faith. That's well documented. His faith was tested in 2001 when his team didn't make the postseason. Tony was a surly man for a couple of weeks, understandably so. But anyway, I hope I like Bobby Barbier, and I want him to be successful. It was obviously a controversial decision for him to leave Northwestern State, a place he'd been for 7 or 8 years, and played there, and did good things there. And then he left the program to go to another program conference, albeit more money and more support, and everybody else in the league would have done the same thing. It's not, but it's a little bad taste in the mouth for a couple people that don't quite understand and get it and think, no, you're not supposed to want to make more money or go somewhere where they have double the fee. But for him to go there after they fired Reiser, who's now over in Memphis as the head coach in Memphis, they fired Matt Reiser, who did a nice job over there with that program, a popular guy. And they fire him, so that's a little controversial just because they fired him, and then he immediately gets a job as a head coach in Memphis, which oftentimes in college baseball you get fired as a head coach. You don't necessarily get one as a head coach for the next job. But anyway, that said, he gets fired, gets another job, and all of a sudden they bring in Barbier. All right, give him more money than Reiser was making. And then now, if he doesn't make the postseason, that would be a rough first year. So we'll got 2 more weeks to find out.
Yeah, we'll see. That Reiser thing was very controversial because the AD wanted Reiser to play daddy ball and put his kid in the lineup when the kid couldn't play. So, everybody knows that story that's being, follows Southeastern baseball. And Reiser's, like everybody else, they've been hot and cold at Memphis. I follow them because Matt's a friend of mine, and they've had some good weekends. So, and he'll build that program up. He got more. He's been 3 times the pay. He's got more resources. So, college baseball, it's May, and that's a great time for college baseball.
All right, so the Tigers this weekend, 6 o'clock against Alabama on Friday night, 4 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday to see if they how they fare, and then that'll tell them what they have to do against Ole Miss at home next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday against Mike Bianco's squad. Win 2, you only have to win 2 against Ole Miss. You win, 1, then you're gonna have to sweep the Rebels. I don't care who you play; that's difficult. Obviously, they couldn't sweep Auburn, they couldn't sweep Missouri, and those are the 2 worst teams in the league. So I don't know why you would think you would automatically sweep Ole Miss. If you don't win any this weekend, Tommy, I don't see a path. And then at that point, you got to over and you got to go win the tournament.
Yeah, you got to do that, or at least get to the championship game, and then still have to cross your fingers. And as we talked about, then you got to worry about what happens around the country. There's them 2 or 3 teams from whatever conference, get that automatic pick because they win their tournament when they might have been, the 7th seed going in, and then whoever might have been there first is solid enough to get in. So they take up a spot that goes to the bubble teams, and we all know that story, and it's very, very true.
Well, it's like I'm looking up real quick the Sun Belt Conference baseball standings, just to give you a taste like of what we're talking about. So, for example, in the Sun Belt Conference, the Raging Cajuns and Troy are both 18-6. Raging Cajuns are 35-15. Troy is 34-16. Chances are both those teams, right, are going to make it into the postseason. They're both going to get at-large bids, finishing first and second in their league. They still have, games left to be played. They're probably going to end up closer to 40 regular season wins and finishing top 2 in their league. So both those teams are probably in regardless. What you want is one of those 2 teams to win the conference tournament. You don't want a 6th seed or 7th seed or somebody who has no chance of making the postseason to get hot, win the tournament, because Troy and UL are probably going to still get in. And that's going to take up a spot. So if there's an LSU fan, you want all the favorites, all the people that are going to get an at-large bid to win their conference tournament so they don't take away a spot that could possibly go to LSU.
And the dark horse in the Sun Belt will be Coastal Carolina, who, we all know that story, and that's a great program. I toured their facility a couple of summers ago. Unbelievable ballpark and facility, and they're a good baseball team.
Yeah, and we all know, of course, they came to Baton Rouge, beat LSU, and went on to win the national championship about 8 years ago.
It would have been the summer of 16.
Yeah. TK, tell us about what's going on in the NFL. I know next Wednesday, right? A week from today, big day in the NFL.
Yeah, it's going to be their schedule release. They made a TV show out of it. We already know every team's home and away opponents. You just don't know the order. When's the open date going to be? So that'll all come out. The exact Saints schedule will be revealed next Wednesday night. And according to the pundits who are, all over this, Saints are going to have one of the easier schedules in the league this year. In part because the NFC South is bad, and that's 6 games they got to play there. A third of their schedule basically is in the NFC South. And then as the league does, you match up against the other teams that finish in their division in 2nd, 3rd, 4th place respectively. And so it should be easier for the bad teams. They want them to win games. So Saints fans will be all over the screen next Wednesday when that schedule gets released.
All right, TK, tell us about Court Street Cafe before we get out of here.
Well, Court Street Cafe, breakfast, lunch, dinner. They get a full-service bar right behind me. Jason and the staff do a super job. Lunch specials, dinner specials, drink specials, the Sunday brunch, the Saturday night steak night. That's all a big, big thing. They have live music just about every Sunday with the brunch. So you need to check them out. It's very easy to get to. 2 minutes over the bridge. You take a right, second red light in Port Allen. You're in the parking lot. Big old patio if the weather's nice. But connect on Facebook and Instagram with them. They promote their stuff a lot. Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Normally we're here on Mondays, but the Rougarou Golf Classic put us here on Wednesday this week, and that's fine. So appreciate people checking them out. I had a guy tell me last night he went to Court Street Cafe about 2 weeks ago because he heard the ad on the radio Saturday. He doesn't do the Facebook thing, but he listens to Sports Shorts Radio every Saturday morning. He had to come over here for business, and he made a point to stop at the Court Street Cafe. That's what makes this thing go round and round. When you sponsor the LeBears and the Edge Lounge, and you sponsor Court Street and Tremonti's, that's what makes this thing fly. That's why we always say like and share this show, because it'll make a difference for us and for our partners in advertising and the Rougarou, the Hall of Fame, the whole bit.
Yep. If golfers out there, don't forget spots available next Monday night party, Tuesday event up in Alexandria at Oak Wing Country Club, golf course designed by David Toms. It's in great shape. Go to lasportshall.com. We hope to see you there. For Tommy Chrysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. We will see you on Friday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily. Until then, have a good one.